Xiaomi 17 Pro Max is simply insane. It not only has a dual display that can be super useful for content creation, but also has a 50% larger battery and a 66% larger telephoto sensor compared to the Galaxy S25 Ultra. The Galaxy has 3 times and 5 times telephoto lenses, while the Xiaomi has only one large 5 times zoom. Honestly, I really think Galaxy should take the same path next year. When you look at this picture, apart from the color science, you can immediately see that the Xiaomi has more bokeh and background blur, as well as much better optical quality at the 115mm focal length. You can of course use portrait mode to achieve the same background blur on the Galaxy, but even here, I found that Xiaomi processes Maria's hair better. Also, the optical quality of the Xiaomi is superior because of the amount of information the camera can gather. Apart from background blur, a larger sensor gives you a more detailed picture. The photo will be sharper and have better dynamic range. Another advantage of a larger sensor is that when you zoom in a lot, like 40 times here, the Xiaomi picture is more detailed and doesn't seem to use the same aggressive AI processing as some other phones like Vivo or Pixel. The main sensors on both phones are roughly the same size, which means they capture about the same amount of light. But that doesn't mean you get the same picture from them. Xiaomi has these Leica colors, and for example here on Leica Vibrant mode, you can see that Xiaomi's colors are more vivid, while Galaxy's are more muted. Also, Xiaomi tends to brighten the scene a bit more even when it is dark outside, which is a matter of taste depending on whether you prefer that look over the Galaxies. In portrait mode, with the main camera, both phones do a good job of preserving Maria's hair and creating natural bokeh. The Xiaomi has a distinct look. One could argue it is less realistic, but on the other hand, Maria loved the Xiaomi's photo. But yes, the processing of the Xiaomi's Leica colors can be very different and vibrant compared to the more natural processing of Galaxy phones, especially in Leica Vibrance mode. Neither of them has a selfie camera to brag about. The Xiaomi has a larger sensor and is 50 megapixel instead of 12 megapixel, and when you take a selfie, you can notice that the Xiaomi is simply better in every way. But the real magic is again in the second screen, where you can do lots of things with it. The most important for me being checking the time and using it as a viewfinder for the main camera. If you use this trick, you can take selfies with the main camera, and now the quality is not even comparable, because the main sensor is of course much better. At night, the processing is also quite different. The Xiaomi looks less shaky and has little to no motion blur. It is obviously processing the image more, applying algorithms like denoising heavily to smooth the picture even at a high ISO like 5000. But that also comes with a downside. The picture looks slightly less natural. If you look closely, the Xiaomi shots appear a bit more processed compared to what you get on the Galaxy. When it comes to the video processing, I found the colors to be closer, though the Xiaomi is more exposed and raises the shadows more. I think the Galaxy's processing is better here, as it preserves highlights more effectively. What I find interesting though is that the color science in video mode is much closer on both phones. While there were a lot of differences in photo mode, here the Xiaomi is actually less vivid than the Galaxy. Both phones have a 6.9-inch display. The Galaxy is more boxy, while the Xiaomi is more curved. The Galaxy has a higher pixel density, which is nice. But on the other hand, the Xiaomi has a higher PWM frequency, which helps protect your eyes from a strain and makes it a better choice for people who are PWM sensitive. The Galaxy S25 Ultra has an anti-reflective display though, and is a game changer for visibility, especially under direct sunlight. One unique feature of the Xiaomi is of course the back display. You can do a lot with it, for example play and stop music, check the weather, check the time, and also use it as a viewfinder for your camera. The Galaxy has the S Pen. I personally use it every day, but I think most people would prefer having a second display instead. Write down in the comments which hardware feature you'd prefer, the back display or the S Pen. As for battery, the Xiaomi 17 Pro Max has a 7500 mAh battery, while the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra has a 5000 mAh one. Generally, Chinese phones this year went crazy with battery capacity. I also bought this Xiaomi 17 Pro Max with my own money from Trading Shenzhen, and I'll put the link in the description. I did a day in the life test with both phones where I took a lot of pictures and videos, played YouTube, and also left the phones overnight, all without a SIM card. And by the end, the Xiaomi still had 57% battery left, which is insane, while the Galaxy had 35%, which is about what I usually have at the end of the day. So for me, the Xiaomi would be a 2 or even 3 day battery phone. I'm going to do a battery test with all flagship phones soon, so if you don't want to miss that video and help us go from 70k to 80k subscribers by the end of the month, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. In terms of performance, it is natural that the Xiaomi 17 Pro Max should perform better than the Galaxy S25 Ultra since it is using the latest Snapdragon 8 Elite Generation 5, while the Galaxy is using the Snapdragon 8 Elite. We'll have to wait for the Galaxy S26 to get the newer chipset. However, the difference isn't huge. On Geekbench, both in multi-core and single-core tests, the Xiaomi 17 Pro Max scores slightly higher than the Galaxy S25 Ultra. What's very surprising though is that the Galaxy S25 Ultra actually gets a better score in the Wildlife Extreme 3D Mark test, which is more focused on GPU performance for heavy gaming. I ran this test multiple times and the Galaxy always wins. The Galaxy S25 Ultra is now running OneUI 8, while the Xiaomi 17 Pro Max runs HyperOS 3. Both are based on Android 16 and offer similar features. The look and feel of HyperOS are very similar to iOS. Some elements, like the dynamic island, are almost a direct copy. OneUI, on the other hand, has a more unique design language, even though it is occasionally inspired by iOS, like with widgets. But to be fair, iOS also borrows ideas from Android all the time, so no harm there. Also, since many of you asked in the comments, I didn't face any issues using the Chinese version here in Europe. The connection is great, it supports all the needed bands, and there are no problems with coverage. The only thing is that in this version of HyperOS, you might see some Chinese characters here and there, and I don't think Android Auto works. Other than that, I personally didn't face any limitations. I'll put the link to where I bought in the description. The delivery was also super smooth. Overall, the Xiaomi 17 Pro Max is a beast of a phone. The battery life is head and shoulders above any other phone you can get right now. You get top-tier performance, the photography is excellent, and the second screen comes in handy if you're into taking videos or selfies. The Galaxy S25 Ultra is a timeless classic. I use the S Pen every day, the camera and battery life are solid, and OneUI is feature-rich. But the hardware definitely needs some love to catch up to competitors, especially in the Chinese market with phones like Xiaomi 17 Pro Max or Vivo X300 Pro. If you enjoyed this video and want to see how the Vivo X300 Pro compares to the iPhone 17 Pro Max, you can watch this video next. Thanks for tuning into TechMo, and I will see you in the next one.